So, game development costs are expensive. Who knew? Apparently, that's not news. What is news is how Sony lost about $10 billion of valuation and its stock price dropping. Now, this may have been, and this is the one thing that I haven't necessarily seen a lot of people talk about, it could have been possibly investor reactions to what the president of the company, CEO or acting CEO, however you want to put the title, I'm not really sure because it's an interim position for now, but this was the COO or is the COO who's actually holding on to this position. And basically they came out and, made some statements about the company in terms of the gaming side of things. And when you kind of think about it, you're not necessarily surprised. Now, if you're surprised, then you've probably not been carefully following the trends that have actually been going on lately, and you've more than likely kind of hidden away from it, or maybe you don't care. And to be very honest, if you don't care, that's fine. But here's one of the things that I've been talking about for a long time, and I strongly believe that if you really value your dollars, where you get your entertainment from, these cues are very, very important that you're very dialed in, or at least attentive to what is going on. I've made the case, I've advocated for the longest time that people should start taking the time to move to PC. Get your stuff. Don't touch this PlayStation 5 Pro that they're trying to bring out and sell to you, and get yourself a gaming PC. Save your money, get the best deal possible. Now, if you're already on a PlayStation 5, then even better for you. If you want exclusives, in quote, that always make their way to PC anyways, then you can keep your PS5 and still get a better gaming machine when it's time for you to actually upgrade. Now, what led to this? There are many things. There are many things that led to Sony being in this position right now. And like in my other videos where I've said, Xbox had a better strategy. As somebody who's a PC player, I already saw this. I was like, PC market is locked down for the most part with Steam. Epic could not even tear through the market easily because, well, honestly, Epic didn't really offer much for gamers. They were much more focused on the developer side, obviously, seeing how many games have been released with Unreal Engine 4 and even now Unreal Engine 5 games being in production. They're doing something right there. For those of you who may or may not know, I'm working on my video game and we're using Unreal Engine to actually make the game because it is a very developer accessible engine. So on that side, they're doing a really good job. But on the side of actually appealing to gamers and customers, it's not really that easy. And seeing how Sony is even having to be on the back foot in this current market after having dominated for the longest time is also something that is, in my opinion, I would have told you a long time ago, and I think I may have. So seeing the $10 billion valuation just basically fall into shambles, I think we need to take a very careful look as to what's going on. So let's look at some highlights from this article. I'd love to read the whole thing, but I don't think it's necessary right now because most of you have probably already heard the news, or maybe some of you haven't. So this says Sony plunged $10 billion after its PS5 sales cut. But a bigger issue is its near decade low games margin. The expense to make these games, ladies and gentlemen, is basically what is, in my opinion, doing this company in. I want to see this company compete. I am not necessarily a huge fan of how they basically gouge their audiences, raising the prices of PlayStation Plus. I had to pay that because I have friends on PlayStation. Not really a big deal for a YouTuber. Shout out to you guys who watch my videos. A little bit of something comes in from ad revenue. I mean, it's not something I'm going to quit my job over for crying out loud. But I can just basically pay PlayStation Plus. But for those other consumers who want to be money conscientious, it is not a consumer-friendly platform to be on. And that is just the reality, especially in today's day and age. So this is why I've always had a sort of animosity to Sony in the last few years, because they have not kept up with value propositions for gamers. Now, if you're, in a sense, dazed by the exclusives, understand that competitors constantly smack the exclusives, and you will play those competitors' games. I mean, this is Hogwarts Legacy right here. Who remembers, in terms of sales, what Marvel Spider-Man could do to ever touch Hogwarts Legacy? Because it is a solid IP, yes, very popular, but at the same time, it was able to position itself in terms of release day and date at a strategic point in the year of 2023 that it was able to rack up a bunch of sales and still eat into the margins of potential video game titles that came out around the time. And even down through the year, it still competed enough. It still was in a competitive space that it even somehow outranked Call of Duty in sales. That's just one example. Another example, which in my opinion seems like history is about to repeat itself, is Elden Ring. How many of you remember when Elden Ring came out? It came out basically right before Horizon Forbidden West and smacked Horizon Forbidden West around in sales, even to the point where, some developers from Guerrilla, not saying all of Guerrilla, but some developers from Guerrilla, Ubisoft, EA were criticizing Elden Ring. And again, this is probably going to be somewhat surprising to some of you. Elden Ring is coming out with its DLC. I said Elden Ring. Elden Ring, yes, is coming out with its DLC. And Horizon Forbidden West is coming out with its PC version. I was going to at least patronize and buy Horizon Forbidden West, but when I looked at how much Horizon Forbidden West was and how much Elden Ring's DLC was, guess which one I chose? I chose Elden Ring's DLC. This is a competitive thing that has always been happening. It's a push and shove. So seeing Sony basically lose this amount in terms of their valuation from their company is not surprising. Now, what is the strategy that they're going to use? Well, it's the one that, basically got leaked from the hack that I've been telling you guys about. They're going to go PC day and date. I've seen a lot of you say they're not going to give away their competitive edge with their console sales. Well, that's what you're saying, but the dollars and the investors seem to be behaving otherwise. And if Sony is not going to tweak its strategy to be able to earn more in terms of software sales, because believe it or not, Sony is a software company as well as a hardware company. They not only make their own software in terms of video games, they sell other software and make earnings from those software. But the big difference right now is that they expand their software base. Now, for the sake of pride or whatever it is they're doing, they're probably not going to move first straight to the Xbox console, but they'll still sit on PC for a while Xbox has already started making expansions, moving a game like Hi-Fi Rush to the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. This is a separate video for the conversation. Do you know what they've just done? I'll tell you guys in the next video so that you guys can see how the strategy is unfolding, because the same thing that PlayStation has done to shoot itself in the foot and overlook is where Xbox is going into leverage. Expect to see a very interesting transformation in terms of the size of games, the quality of games, and the scope of games, with Xbox starting to push them into the PlayStation ecosystem in a way that leverages PlayStation even much more than PlayStation is actually doing. We'll talk in a different video. If you want to go look at Hi-Fi Rush, it'll probably clue you into what it is that I'm trying to, allude to here. But it's a very interesting proposition. So thanks so much for watching the video. I appreciate you guys' time and audience. Hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.